Drugs always scared me because I was worried that I would love them and they would derail my entire life. I never smoked weed until college, and I never even saw cocaine until I was 27 and a writer's assistant at SNL walked into my office and said, "Do you mind if I do coke in here?" And I was truly honored they thought I was cool enough to watch them do coke. Maybe my friends in high school and college were doing drugs all along and just never offered them to me, but I honestly think that I got lucky and hung out with people who were ambitious and didn't have time or money for drugs. And they were probably also scared like I was. I also just have a terrible constitution for drug use. Anytime I've smoked pot, I've had a classic, my heart is going to explode and I'll never be the same person ever again type of reaction. For example, I smoked the tiniest bit of weed with my friends and went to see the classic film 10,000 BC. The preview started and I thought, whoa, this movie screen is pretty big. Then we saw a preview for The Grinch and I thought, oh no, his heart is growing. Maybe mine is too. Then 10,000 BC started and the opening shot of the movie is 1,000 woolly mammoths charging at the screen. I got up, walked out of the theater, and paced up and down the lobby until my friends came out and took me home. Not even to my own home. They took me to their apartment because I refused to be alone, and they gave me multiple blankets because I was shivering on their couch. I then slept for 12 hours. So that was my general reaction to pot. But around the age of 28, I went on a date with a girl and she offered me a pot cookie. I was worried I might feel paranoid, but I had such a deep, eternal faith in cookies that I was confident they would cancel out the effects of marijuana with their inherent deliciousness. I'm sad to report that for the first time in my life, cookies let me down. This girl and I were at a concert in New York having a great time. Then we went back to my apartment and the cookie suddenly hit me. I became so paranoid, I was convinced that she had poisoned me. So I did what any other 28-year-old man would do. I snuck into the bathroom and called my parents. It was 2 a.m. My parents had been asleep for at least 4 hours. My mom answered the phone and I said in a heavy whisper, "Mom, it's me. You gotta do something. This girl poisoned me. She gave me PCP. Why I took it to the level of PCP, I don't know. I don't know what the side effects of PCP are. I'm pretty sure it's not available in cookie form. I'm sure I had recently read an article about a guy taking PCP and eating his friend's face off. As soon as my mother heard that I had been poisoned, she said, "Don't move, we'll be right there." Then, because I was also still super high, I went back in the other room and forgot that I had called my parents. Cut to an hour later, my date and I are on the couch having a grand old time when there's a knock at the door. "Who could that be?" she asked. "Oh shit, I know who that could be." I open the door, my parents come barging in and start yelling at this girl, "We know what you did! You poisoned our son! You're the PCP queen!" I start apologizing to my date. She is so high, she thinks this is the funniest fucking thing she's ever seen. She's like, "Oh my god, who are these awesome old people you hired to scare me?" My heart feels like it's left my chest and is dancing an Irish jig on the radiator. My mom helps me lie down in bed and makes me a cup of hot tea to help me relax. I am so paranoid at this point, I become convinced that my own mother is trying to poison me, and I fake drink the tea and pour it to the side of my bed like I'm in a spy movie. And while I'm falling asleep, shivering, I hear my dad lecturing this poor girl about the dangers of drug use. Like, "Do your parents know that you're doing this?" And she looked to my room and she was like, "No, they don't, 'cause I don't call my parents every time I do drugs." Weirdly, there was no second date. The next morning, I called my younger brother, who was still living at home at the time, and he said that at 2 a.m., my parents had come knocking on his door and said, "Hey, honey, just wanted to let you know that we're going to head into the city for a bit." And he said, "The city, but it's 2 a.m. and your parents." Yeah, no, it's no big deal. We're just going to drive into Manhattan for a bit, see what's going on. Nothing to worry about. Sleep tight, okay? Then a couple minutes after they left, I called my brother too. Casey, you gotta do something. This girl poisoned me. She gave me PCP. And my brother said he just laughed and realized, oh, that's where my parents went. Despite all this, I tried a pot cookie one more time, with the same friends who escorted me home from 10,000 BC, so they bear some responsibility as well. We were in the woods in Pennsylvania for New Year's Eve, which already sounds like a horror movie, and everyone decided to eat a pot cookie, so I naturally ignored the previous evidence that I should not eat one and ate one too. My doctor calls this another bad sign. We all went for a walk in the falling snow, which was delightful, like walking through a Robert Frost poem, only high. I strongly recommend that part of the experience. Then we came back inside and someone decided to put on the film Cloud Atlas. Now, in fairness, Cloud Atlas does sound like the perfect movie to watch when you're high. It was directed by the Wachowskis, so you know it's going to look amazing. It features the classic duo of Halle Berry and Tom Hanks, and it takes place in both 1930s England and 2140s Korea. And the logline of the film is, as souls are born and reborn, they renew their bonds to one another throughout time. This movie should only be watched high. So the movie starts, and Tom Hanks is on an island in the Pacific Ocean in 1849. Okay, sure, it's like old-timey Castaway. That's cool. And his name is Dr. Henry Goose. Hilarious. Love that. Then the pot cookie starts to really kick in when the movie shifts to neo-soul and Tom Hanks, spoiler, becomes Asian. And that put me over the edge. I guess in my head I was like, Tom Hanks is white, god damn it. I stood up, I said I had to go to the bathroom, then hid in a closet in the basement for 2 hours until the movie ended and my friends finally found me. How was Cloud Atlas? I asked. I'm not really sure, my friend said. I think we got too high because it almost looked like Tom Hanks was Asian. In conclusion, don't drink and do drugs until you're older, when drinking and doing drugs are extra embarrassing. That way your brain will be in good enough shape to remember all the humiliating stuff you do when you drink and take drugs. Or as my doctor put it, that's bad advice, Colin.